Hello and welcome everybody to Around the Battleground. My name is LHS and I am your host as always. Just me again, still waiting on, trying to find a replacement host after Culture's left. So I do have a few people in mind. We put a tweet out last week and I got a couple hits from people being interested. There might be a JMac reunion in the future if schedules kind of align, but not going to really expect that one to materialize just because the reason why he did leave the show was because of a scheduling conflict. So hopefully, we can get somebody in here and you don't have to just listen to me, week in and week out, and we can get some other people in here. Today's show, we do have an interview. We have Fun Ball at the end of the show. I talked to him. It's a really good one. We talk about MSI, the team as a whole, where they're at now, and kind of where they're going into this phase and where they're at mentally after winning MSI. So that's a really good one. I had a lot of fun recording that. Funball's just a really good friend of mine. Milky, right, Kieran? Right? I got you. So there's a lot going on. So we kind of compressed for time. Compressed, I don't even know if that's the right way to say this. We're pressed for time, rather. So we're going to get right into the show. And we're going to start off with the SML and the EU side of SML. Week 2 here, and we have our standings after 2 weeks of play. We've got Simplicity at the top, not dropping game, just 4 straight wins, 2 2-0s. You got Queso, who's come in. They've dropped a game so far. Flashpoint having 1 win and a loss. Horizon coming in with a win and a loss. And then Exordium finding a win in a set, and then Out Cold just not being able to find any wins. So this is a really interesting place to be. Out Cold is below the 2 combined teams that we've seen so far. And sure, they've had to play maybe tougher competition than what the other teams have had. But I don't think that's really an excuse or anything like that. Something's not working with Out Cold, and I really don't know what it is. They have to play Simplicity and they lose, and then they have to play who else did they play? I'm looking at it right now, trying to figure it out, suss it out real quick. That might be, no, they play somebody else other than Out Cold, and I know this. They played this week other than Simplicity. I'm looking it up right now, folks. I should be better prepared, but there's just so much stuff going on. Out Cold play Flashpoint, and they lose the Flashpoint. That's right. So, they play higher at the top end teams, top end, quote unquote, but, just not quite enough to really figure it out. I don't know. There's a lot of potential in this team. I mean, you got Pretty Prime, right? Pretty Prime has been a world-class mid, maybe pretty past his prime. I don't know. Is it something that he doesn't care about it anymore? Is Demi past? I mean, they also play with subs like the first week because of, traveling and stuff like that. I think Demi didn't play. But it's concerning. Out Cold should not be doing this poorly. And I really feel like there's got to be a roster change somewhere for this team, and if they don't, they're just kind of okay with mediocrity, and I don't think that's where anybody wants to be, and I don't think anybody kind of really predicted it. Looking at the other teams, I mean, Simplicity was the top EU team going into MSI, coming out of MSI, certainly looking very strong, but just, there were questions, where was Flashpoint out, where would Queso be? And then how would these combine teams who have come up in the SML, how would they do? And so far, I mean, this week we saw all 2-0s really across the board. And, that says a lot on paper, but if you actually watch the games, right, you see that the combine games were closer than the 2-0 showed. So you had Simplicity versus Exordium. I saw a lot of good things from Exordium. I think they have a really solid foundation. I am excited to see what they do moving forward. And the same thing with Horizon. Horizon played Queso and gets 2-0'd. But a lot of it with Horizon was just lack of experience. And I really think moving forward, if they get that experience, they'll be a really good team. I think they could fight into the top 3, top 2 if they really get their stuff together. It'll be interesting to watch how they develop over the course of the phase. They get 2 losses, Exordium do, and then Horizon do find a win their first week. But there's still a lot of the phase left to go, and anything can really happen. As we saw last split, Flashpoint had such a dominant lead and then ended up, barely kind of scraping into MSI. So we could see something like that happen again in the EU. Should be a really good, exciting phase for all of these teams. The only, outlier right now is really Out Cold. They played Flashpoint, they lost. They played Simplicity, they lost. So now they're going to play Queso. Can they beat Queso, Horizon, Exordium? Where's Out Cold going to land? I want to say they land, amongst the top just because of the name power. But, having watched them play, they're playing without passion. They're lacking a certain an it factor. And that's really, causing a lot of problems for them moving forward. Across the way, week 2 in a little bit different. Sanguine at the top of the board. They were such a dominant force at MSI with a sub as their solo laner. And now they've kind of just started right back from where they were, picked up, and they just look stronger than ever. I really do think that this is the top team in the entire SML potentially. Them in Simplicity are really fighting kind of back and forth. Excited to see kind of how that shakes up. Hype Unit, recently promoted Combine side comes up. Mollusk, really good team. I think they have a lot of potential. If they don't cool down, they came in with a bang. As long as you let Mollusk get set, he's going to destroy you. That's just kind of how that goes. Armada has made a lot of roster changes. They lost Snoopy. They are having to play with a kind of a relatively new team, and it's not going to be instant their success. So they might have dropped down in quality, but I mean they still got Benji on the squad, so he's going to be able to pull out a lot of wins. Space Station Gold found a win, and then found a loss. Middle of the road. I think this is probably where I would have predicted them to be if I was being really honest with myself, based on, 2 added Combine teams, and, they're scrimming now, which is a really good thing for them. They're actually going to get a lot better now. Cryptic and Exilium both getting their losses. Cryptic finding a win in a set, and then, losing out both sets, and Exilium just getting blown out in both sets. So I have to speak, I am the coach for Exilium, so I will talk a little bit more about that. We played Hype Unit week 1. We're more familiar with that team as another Combine team that came up, but just such a good squad. We kind of went into that week, not being able to scrim as much. It was less than ideal. We took our L, learned a lot from that moving forward. And then this week we played Sanguine, and Sanguine's the best team in the league. And we got our L's. We took our big fat L's, big losses, make for big learning though. So we're going to turn that around and hopefully have a better run. We got SSG Gold next week, and I feel pretty good about our chances. Cryptic on the other end, right? They made a bunch of roster changes. Basically another promoted side out of the Combine, just based on how many people from the Combine came up. They're not finding as much success as they would like. There's rumors going around behind the scenes that there might be roster changes coming in, even more so on that. Who knows? Starting off 0-2, maybe that's going to make them try to look somewhere else. But NASML looks pretty rock solid right now. Sanguine at the top, Hype Unit at the top. I think next week we get Sanguine versus Hype Unit. That should be a really good game. I fully expect Sanguine to win, but Hype Unit, if they get the right picks, could definitely find some W's. And then, hopefully, Team Exilium gets their win against Space Station Gold. It'll be fun to watch. And I think, as the phase progresses, just like with EU, which teams, you can have a slow start, but you gotta you gotta figure it out on the fly, and you gotta be able to adjust at some point. If you don't, you'll get left behind. And that's kind of where we are with NASML. Looking at the first week of Smite Pro League action, we saw Space Station Gaming kind of get the bad end of the stick. They had to play Dignitas, and then they had to play Splice, or the other way around. I'm not sure. It was all a blur, a quick 3-0 blur. So these are our standings after the first week, because the first phase and the second phase are combined for seeding. So the first phase matters. And I think that took a lot of people by surprise, even though they've been saying the whole time. So you look at SSG and you look at Obey. Obey is formerly Trifecta. They have the same plus minus for games at -20. And that's no bueno. Rival at top 8-1, Dig 8-2, Pittsburgh Knights 7-2. If you look at the game plus minus, 19, 14, 17, 1, 7, 4, 1, -20, -20, -23. Those are some big margins. There's a big lead in those top three sides. It should be, but it's not the be all end all, right? Look at Renegades. They're sitting at that sixth place with a plus minus of 4, yet they just really dominantly won the midseason invitational. And so I'll take this time to this first week to really kind of talk about SSG. There was a lot of rumored roster changes happening with this squad. I was under the impression that there was going to be a lot of movement. And then coming into the actual season, there's nothing. They stick with the entire same squad. They don't do anything. They stagnate. And it shows. This team came into MSI knowing they had problems, came out of MSI knowing they had problems, and came into phase 2 knowing they had problems. And they don't address it at all. They don't get any new blood. They don't make any changes. They don't make any swaps. They do nothing. And I think that's going to be a big problem. I don't foresee a way that Space Station improve. I don't see them ever getting out of the bottom 3. In fact, looking at the other side, looking at Trifecta, they swapped out Eonic for Mineral. And Mineral's the homie. So him going up, I think he's going to do a lot of good things for that team. I think Obey is going to finish above Space Station. You look at Luminosity, they've made changes. They bring in Ionic, and that's, questionable on whether or not that's going to actually move the needle for them, but we'll see when they have their first games. But Space Station, Bear has been doing work. Everybody else, Jeff has had really awful games, and he's had games where he's looked all right. I think there's Andy mid. What are you doing? You can't keep that. You got to get rid of it. You got to get an actual mid laner. Andy, I'm sorry, buddy. You're a legend. I have utmost respect for you and what you've done, but you're not doing anything. I made my pretty past your prime joke. Well, Andy, I don't have a pun for your name, but I think it might also be that the game has passed you by as well. Even Aquarius hasn't looked like anything. And he's supposed to be one of their star guys. One of the numbers that they can call at any time to help them win games. And he hasn't been able to do that. SSG look really bad. They look like they don't know what to do. They get really lost. There is something that happens towards the late game where this team shuts down, cannot function. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's conflicting shot calling. I don't know if it's conflicting ideologies on the game. I don't know what it is, but there is something tangible that you can see in every game where they fall apart. It's like a countdown timer. You know, the 2 minutes to midnight, the doomsday clock. Every time the game starts for SSG, that's what's looming in the background. How are we going to throw this game? Oh, they're winning? How are they going to throw it? They can't possibly win this game. It's, you know, and because they haven't made it, it's because they haven't made changes. I don't think that this is a squad that gets anything done this year. I think we are going to see Space Station Gaming, unless they make changes in the phase, they're not going to make LAN. They're not going to make qualifier, let alone worlds. And that's for Bear to not make even the qualifier, that's unacceptable. SSG, do something. You brought in Alpha Jackal. Sure, that didn't do anything. Do something else. Do something more. You owe it to the fans to do something more at this point. All right, that's enough of railing on SSG. Ding Toss, look good, but it's SSG. Splice, look good, but it's SSG. Solo Troll plays his first game in a Splice uniform. Looks all right. You know, he's not basking, but he's doing all right. He's doing a good job. I'm interested to see kind of how he progresses from here, what he does. I'm excited for his growth. I think it's still really funny that, you know, we talked to Kabam on our show right before MSI, and, you know, point blank asked him, I was like, hey, Solar Troll's gonna be your new solo laner, right? I mean, he's like the guy to kind of be in here. He, no, I'm not gonna be Solar Troll. No. Here we are, Solar Troll. Obviously, Solar Troll's a really good player, and can't wait to see him kind of go head to head with some of these, you know, bastions of the solo lane. Looking ahead to SPL Week 2, we've got some pretty decent matches lined up. We look at United versus SK, both middle of the pack teams. Really interesting matchups here. SK on their SK potentially looking like a top tier team, or at least better than Pittsburgh Knights. You know, so not top, but like lower top tier. And United also on certain days looking pretty good. I mean, they took games off a dig, right? So where do these actually fall? I'm not entirely sure. You know, in the first half of the year, I think United beat SK, but I think SK could come back and take the games off of United. This should be really good to watch. We'll learn a lot, right? We'll learn who's been, you know, showing up the scrims and everything, and who hasn't been practicing, putting the hours in the gym as much. If I'm looking at this, I'm looking at United SK. I don't like the United roster as much as I like SK, just straight up. The people on the team. I love Neil. I love Sam. I love the SK boys much more than I like the United guys. I think, you know, Collis is a great guy, great support. I don't know that he, I don't know. It'll be, I'm not gonna say meshes with the squad. I don't know. It's this United roster should be intriguing. I think they can win wars of attrition. I think Big Man Tings is kind of like their win condition in a lot of ways, and if he has a really good game, I think United set up to win. But SK kind of have, you know, they've got Paul, they've got Sam, they've got Neil, they've got Zep, who, you know, has the plot armor sometimes, but not always. So SK, I would say SK win this, but I would not be surprised if this goes all 5 games, goes super back and forth. I wouldn't be surprised by any outcome on this game. It could either be a 3-0 stomp, it could be, you know, a 3-1, or it can, you know, go all 5 games, 3-2, either side. There's a lot of different possibilities there. Next up, we got Rival versus Dignitas. This should be a really, really good game. We'll see kind of who wants it more, right? We saw Dignitas beating Rival to start the phase 1, but then Dignitas kind of didn't do as much, moving forward from there. They still won a lot of games, but then they just, they couldn't put anything together at MSI. But Rival also could not put anything together at MSI, and they get knocked out by an SML squad. So Rival's got that chip on their shoulder. If I'm being honest, I love Dignitas. Dignitas is like, I am a fanboy of that squad. That's no secret. But Rival just has something about them. They are a really good squad. They have a lot of talent. They've got a lot of synergy. They've got a lot of they tick a lot of boxes that you want to see ticked in a competitive team. And I think they are a lot more well-rounded than Dignitas is. I think one of the things that is absolutely needed from Dig is a step back and a redirection from the way that they approach the mid lane, because they've done zeros for the last, couple of seasons. They moved to Hurry. There's nothing wrong with Hurry, but he does have bad games. He's not a superstar, right? And I think that is kind of a weakness for Dig, whereas Rival, I don't think there's like a huge weakness really anywhere on that team as much. So if I was to guess, I would probably say Rival take this. But Dig, could always show up. They always start off the season strong. So I could see Dig taking this. I don't think it'll be a 3-0. I think this probably goes 4-5 games. Easy. I don't think this is a 3-0 either way. This is a good set to watch, and it's going to set the tone for a lot of different stuff moving forward. If you like meta, this will be a really good place to watch. The next up, Friday, Rival versus Pittsburgh Knights. That'll be also very interesting. I think Rival wins this. I have been very low on Pittsburgh Knights as a whole. They keep saying that they're going to come back and, do better and win. And I think if they lose right off the bat to Rival, I mean, it's going to be like, okay, at what point do you guys make a change? Do you guys pursue different avenues? Because what you're doing currently does not work. So what are you going to do? How are you going to change? How are you going to approach this? With different meta changes, Pittsburgh Knights could see a resurgence, but I do not predict that Pittsburgh Knights can beat Rival. I think this is more likely to be a 3-1 or a 3-0 than it is to be a 5-game 3-2. I think Rival is just better than Pittsburgh Knights. But I could always be wrong. I've been wrong several times, and I will openly admit it. If Pittsburgh come out and smack around Rival, I will sing their praise. But until they do that, I will be critical of them, and I will make them earn, me saying that they are a top tier team. I think that Pittsburgh Knights are, so the old saying, it's like, greater than the sum of their parts. I think Pittsburgh Knights are less than the sum of their parts. They play worse as a group than they should, like, individually. Their individual greatness is taken away by them playing as a team. They need to figure something else out, like, immediately. To finish our week, we've got Obey Alliance and SK. This should be a really good game to see where Obey sits amongst the ranking. Are they still a bottom 3 team? Was Ionic the problem? Can they rise up from the bottom of the tier and make a play for the middle of the table? I don't think there'll be a top tier team. I don't think they'll be at the top. They don't have that roster power. I don't think Wowie is that guy. I don't think Mineral is the guy. I don't think Maswell is the guy. I don't think anybody on their squad is the guy. We also have to look at the elephant in the room. Weekend usually starts the year off strong. I don't remember a season where he finishes the year off strong, right? It's not It's just something about meta changes. Usually that coincides. I'll tell you what happens. Usually we move to a tank jungle meta. That's not Weaken's bag. Weaken wants to be all out aggressive, and that's the dive. That's kind of what our jungles are right now. The Kalis, the rats, of these gods that, kind of do whatever they want. Look at Set. Set is one of the top tier jungles right now, and he's just, about getting to your backline and messing them up. I think, as long as we kind of stick in that direction, I think Weaken can be a really, I think he's a top tier jungle. A lot of people won't agree with me. A lot of people will talk schmack about Mr. Kurt Schray, but I love the man. And I think he's a really good jungler when he's on. His intangibles, his shot calling, everything like that is invaluable to a team. Whether or not, we stay in that meta, I don't know. And then Ducky. Ducky's got to translate what he does in scrims to game day. And maybe that was because Ionic was preventing that with calls or, split calls or, positioning where Ducky was having to make up for stuff. I don't know. I probably, if I look at this team and you ask me what I would have wanted to change, if I'm being brutally honest, everybody but Weaken can go. That's realistically what it looks like. I don't think Moswell's anything special. I think he was really, I say it all the time. I think he really genuinely benefited from a world's meta that allowed him just to kind of press for a bunch. But I don't know. That's it's hard to say. Like, there's obviously some skill there. He was kind of contained by what Splice would let him do. So now he can kind of let himself, fly a little bit more. And I don't know. It'll be a really good game for Obey. I think they can come out and kind of show like, hey, we are not the same team. We're coming out, we're stronger, we're better. And I think that they have a good chance to do that. SK, I think they should match up pretty well. Obviously, I think the smart answer, the easy answer here is that SK beat Obey, right? Of course they do. But I think, that Obey have a pretty decent chance of finding the W here. They have some really good pieces, and I want to see what they do without Ionic there, because I think Ionic was a big problem. A lot of people was like, oh, Ionic was the problem, there's blah, 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 blah. Whatever you say. I remember watching Ionic, like, standing in Merlin, Ice 2, and like reapplying it to himself and walking back into it and just having really weird positioning and like getting hit with stuff he didn't need to get hit by. I don't know. Mineral has, some interesting shoes to fill. There's a lack of top tier support talent. And so is Mineral kind of the next golden support, right? Is he the next guy who's like, oh yeah, is he the next Neil? I think Neil, realistically, right, is the last, lower league support to come up and do it really well. So can Mineral come up and kind of do some of that? Is he going to mesh with the team in the same way? I think he could do it, but I don't know. If I had to put money on, I'd say SK win, right? But I would like to see Obey win, and I think Obey have the potential to win. So that's kind of be, yes, we've got rival PK, we've got, rival Dig, but I think one of the, outside of the, the top tier bastions fighting out, I think it's just as important that we see United SK and Obey SK, because I really like the middle of the pack. Like, what are these guys going to do? Because they've got to figure out their own meta. They got to figure out their own niche. And I want to see how they, how they game plan, what they do, and end up kind of running. That's kind of maybe counter meta, counter culture, kind of finding their own play style. And I think the, SK might skew more meta, but I think Obey might just, skirt the meta just a little bit. You know, they're going to be a little more aggro. They're going to be a little more in your face, because that's kind of where a lot of the people on the team shine. So that's it for our week 2 predictions. That's kind of where we're at for, you know, SML, SPL, and looking ahead. I'm really excited for this week, and I can't wait to watch some of these games and kind of learn some stuff myself as a coach. You know, it's really exciting. Whenever you get SPL back, I am excited. You know, you don't really learn a lot when it's stomps, 3-0 stomps. So I think we'll get more out of these games than we did get the first week. Now, I'm going to stop talking, and we're going to transition over to our pre-recorded interview with Funball. I hope you all enjoy it. I know I had a really fun time talking to Funball, and love it every time I have him on the show. So we're going to cut to the interview, and then that's going to be the end of the show. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Here's me in the past. Hello and welcome everybody to Around the Battleground. My name is LHS, and today we have a very special guest, somebody who's been on the show several times, but you've never seen any one of those episodes because they always mess up. We've got Funball here. Finally, for reals, legitimately, I'm seeing the audio go, and as soon as he talks, I'll see his audio, and we'll be confirmed here. Funball, please say something, and please let it be heard. Now he's fucking with us. I know he's fucking with us. All right, there we go.
Yo, what up?
So, it's good to finally have you on. We've had you, I think, background for anybody who's been following the show for a while. Like we've had Funball on a couple times, but every single time, him and Fails, without a doubt, whenever we had those guys on, there's some big audio issue or something like that. Funball is the fun one because I have recorded at least 2, maybe 3. I think the first time it fucked up twice. But
yeah, it did.
3 full-length shows after having checked that everything was working, and then get to the end product and it not be working. This last time was the most crushing because it was like right before MSI. It was a perfect show. It was all good, and we were joking about how everything wasn't working and how it was working. And then we get to the end, and he's like, "You're fucking with me, right? You're fucking with me." I was like, "No."
Right, listen, I thought you were baiting me so hard. So I don't know. I blame you.
Yeah, it was a rough one, but we sorted it all out. You have put in. You single-handedly have been responsible for me putting in a bunch of new things in place so that none of that stuff happens again. So, you know, you really did a service for me and the show. So, you know, I'll have to slide like a little bit of the profits towards you for moving forward.
Yeah,
you know, a little bit
I require $500 per.
I will match one of your contracts, you know, of my choice, and pay you the same amount.
You know what? You know what? I wasn't contracted with Paradigm, so technically that's not a contract.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. All right. So, God, it's good to have you on. You know, last when we talked, it's a very different vibe. You know, last time we talked was, you know, after losing a few games, after coming on hot, dropping games to end, and then, you know, all the lead up in MSI, how you guys felt, and now here we are, post MSI. You guys are the mid-season champions. First off, congratulations on that. I've believed in you since day one. I knew you guys had it in you, but
but we weren't first on your list. Sorry,
you weren't. Hey, it's what's all right. What's really funny about that is every time I make one of those lists, Emilzy DMs me and is like, "What the fuck is this shit?" And I'm like, "Dude, if you win, I'll put you up." And then they always choke the next game and they lose. And like, so like I was like, Emilzy, if you win MSI, I will print this tweet out and I will eat it live for you, right? And I will, you know, say that I was wrong about Pittsburgh Knights. He hasn't DM'd me since MSI.
Yeah, it's probably for the best, man. He's I think he had a bit of a rough one on that one.
Yeah, it's God, that team, I don't know, like they've got a lot of stuff to figure out on there, and like I don't understand why everyone's still like, even like Casting Desk is still like riding their dick still. Like they haven't done anything all season. They beat up on Trifecta and SK and United and
They did go 3-0 against us in the split though.
yeah, but even then, like you guys had like come off of like 1,000 games in a row, not being able to scrim, all of this other stuff. Like there's always context in that stuff, right? So
Yeah,
but
true.
going in MSI, you know, you guys felt reasonably confident. How did it feel to like actually go in there and then just not drop a single game? Like, yes, winning it is one thing, but winning it without dropping a game has got to be like a completely different feeling of swag, right?
I mean, in all honesty, just everybody was like, "Yeah, we did it. All right, move on next." You going home tomorrow? Yeah, I'm going home. That's literally what happened. Like I went to we all went to the other house because Rafa and Cherry was still doing the All Stars. So I was speaking to Dades Nika. I was like, "How does it feel to finally win your first LAN game or LAN tourney?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's fine, whatever. It doesn't feel as good because we beat everyone 3-0, 2-0. We didn't drop a single game, never mind a set. So I think it does take a bit away from a win because I know when you're winning like 3-2 or something, it feels so much more satisfying. Like you actually, tried so hard for that win. But not to say that we didn't.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just a different feeling.
Weird. Like I would think like if I came into a tournament and like just dominated, right? Like that's that level of swagger. I mean, Raffer's done it before, right? He's been there like 2 years in a row where he did that, so it's like old trick to him. But like, you didn't win a game last year, and Cherry.
Hey, listen, we won one set, okay? At least one set. That's fine.
At least one set. But like, yeah, let's say you, Cherio, and Nika, all three of you guys had like a really rough year. So like to go, lossless at a LAN, that's gotta be like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. It was nice.
God. So you're saying there wasn't any, you didn't have any scrims after you won, the whole thing?
I mean, I went to the hotel to see all like the boys, like Fearless and the console boys, and hung out with them. So we were scrimming. Me, Nika, and
but responsible scrimming.
Yeah, whatever you say, man. Yeah, 100% responsible.
So after after you guys win MSI, you headed back home. How did that feel? I mean, so you guys got here late, so I guess you spent the most time back home still, but it was still a while away. Was this like the most amount of time you've been like away from home, like at least this far away?
No, I went to boarding school for 2 years, so I've not been home for around like 7 months at a time or 6 months at a time, so it's nothing new to me. Okay. But I know for Dades, he wishes at home right now. Not to say that he's not fine here, but like I'm fine with it. I know Rafa's fine with it because he stayed here anyway. And then it's mainly just Dades that kind of just wants to stay at home, and I'm honestly I don't mind. I'd rather be with family at that point, but you gotta do it.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. Like sometimes it's nice to get away and do other things, and sometimes it's nice to be at home and 3 weeks plenty. Like I had a funeral to attend, and I had a wedding to attend, so I pretty much didn't play any Smite at all.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
it was a good breather.
Yeah,
really good.
I feel like that's kind of important because like with you guys all being there, you don't get as much of like the breakaway, because like even like the people you're spending your time with down there, like even if they're not your teammates, they're other Smite people, right? So I mean, the game is always around, and like the league and like your job, right? You basically never get like fully away from the job. So being able to like completely unplug has got to feel pretty nice whenever you can get these breaks. And then you not being able to play Smite though. I mean, so it's a good thing you guys you don't play again till like week number 3, right?
Yeah, I mean, originally I think we were supposed to play first week, but we got it changed because I wasn't going to be able to attend the first weeks. Yeah,
Okay.
lucky. Thanks to Hi-Rez and Skillshot for that.
It seems like so far this year, they've really been doing a really good job behind the scenes with you guys. Not specifically just Renegades, because obviously they've done a lot for you guys, but then
Yeah.
they've done a lot with all of the other teams and making scheduling work the best that they can and kind of accommodating you guys. And I feel like that's very publicly we've had a lot of trash thrown at Skillshot and Vinny and Cooper and all that, but I feel like this year it's been a really good year for the admin team.
Yeah, they've done a lot for us in behind the scenes. I don't think many people know, obviously, because it's kept in between wraps between teams and players and the Skillshot, employees and all that. Yeah, it feels like game compared to last year. They've done so much to help us specifically because we came in late, and I can't thank them enough for it. Without them, I'm pretty sure, we wouldn't have been where we were, and I don't think we would have won MSI because we were doing a bunch of random stuff. We were still in the hotel at that point, and getting stuff sorted out ASAP with Skillshot and Renegades was really good for us. Yeah.
Where would you say that you're in a better spot now with everything kind of with the house, the org, everything getting set up and everything now than you were even right before MSI?
Yeah, I feel like everybody's way more comfortable as well. It's not just the fact of us just getting into a house, it's that more of that we've been here for months already, and we're already accustomed to what we need to do, how this lifestyle is compared to everybody else being at home. Like Cherry, for example, has a completely different lifestyle. Us, like me, Cherry, me, Nika, Rafa, Dada's obviously not too much of a change. For me, there's a bit of a change because culture gap, stuff like that. But it's fine. I think everybody gets used to it, and I think that's the main thing moving forward is that we're comfortable, and we have way more time to just spread out, do other things. Like for our last split, for example, we had so many games clustered together because we came late. That this split we have a lot of breather room to just expand and do other stuff and actually show other teams what we have to prove and what we have to show them.
That's what I like to hear. Hopefully you guys kind of keep moving forward, making progress. How does it feel at this point to see that the entire league is copying what your strategy has been thus far?
I mean, it's definitely it's an interesting one. I think this happened a long time ago in season 1 when I was playing with Exposed Secrets. We had Payne Divian back then. For some reason, we had him instead of an EU player, but everybody copied our meta, and it's really weird because we can see what strengths our comps have, and we can see what disadvantages we have. So I don't know. It's a weird feeling. I'm just like, why? What is this? Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a weird thing to watch develop. I mean, you guys definitely. It feels very reminiscent of going in last year's Worlds and the Worlds before that, right? Where you have Aurora and his group kind of come in and they establish a meta, and it's everyone's oh yeah, that's what we should be doing. But it was it's very unique to you guys. But then everyone else well, if it works for them, then it should work for us. But you have to have the right people in place to make it happen, right? So it's a really weird system. I think. Do you guys feel like you'll benefit more based on everyone trying to copy your style when they're not you and thus can't really pull it off to the same degree?
I mean, I don't know how other teams will change and try and fit to our playstyle. I think the main thing is we don't care about what other teams are going to do. We care about how we're gonna beat what they're gonna do, and that's the main thing is that we're gonna focus on what we want to do. versus how we want to play versus teams. I don't know. It's a weird play style that everybody has right now. The meta is in such a weird spot, especially in dual lane. That's the main part, and support's been not dual lane. I think that's the two main things where I'm like, okay, how can we omit on this, and how can we improve or change? And yeah, it's definitely, I don't know. We'll see.
Do you think we'll see any more radical changes? I mean, they just added all of the new, like, the Arthurian weapons, right? So that's like another big change. We've got another god release coming up. So theoretically, like, we should see the game open up even more. I mean, those new items are, I feel like they're like akin to, when Lonos first came out, right? And that's what enabled everybody. It was like, oh, Fenrir's a support now. Lonos rush, you're good. And so now you've got Pridwin, which is just all the prots, cooldown, everything you need. Are we going to see even more changes to where you put gods now based off of these itemizations?
Yeah, I definitely think right now you can play anything anywhere, or at least almost anything anywhere. Not just because of the item changes, but more because the meta itself in the SPL.
Mm-hmm.
It's really shaky. It's just like, it's not direct and everybody knows, like, last year, for example, everybody knew what was going to happen. Clear wave in dual lane, you go do your buff, you go back. You might see a Fenrir jump on you. Okay, it's kind of, telegraphed. But in this year and this split, upcoming, with the new items and the current meta, it's just like a squiggly line. Like, you don't know what's going to go on. And that's kind of my analogy for it. Last year was straight line, and this year is it's all over the place.
Squiggly line pro league, I like it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of this, so I'm down to ride the wave.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of, it fits your guys' style. I mean, you running around kind of making plays where people wouldn't expect Raph. I mean, that's Raffer's entire shtick as a support, right? Like, being where people don't expect him to be. Yeah. I mean, Nika's been doing really. Raffer.
Don't tell him that, though.
All right, so I know he's right behind you, and we can see him, so I'll be quiet.
He can't.
But he won the MVP. Was he your MVP?
In my eyes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the one that said it in the cast, so yeah.
I think, for me, I love Raph, and I love the frame perfect Hi-Rez is probably one of the greatest plays of the tournament. But Dardes on carry gods, I was saying it before, we go in an MSI is like, hey, when you put Dardes on a carry, you win games. Every game you've not put Dardes on a carry, you put him on a mage, you've lost.
All right, let me stop you there real quick. First of all, who enables him to do that?
I think Dardes enables himself to do it.
No. It's the other boys. Actually, it's me. I'll take up.
Yeah.
Dog.
I will say what is really cool about your guys' team is the breakdown for me. What feels like your guys' like roles assignment, right? So I mean, you've got your carry, right? Dardes is carry, and most teams will have Jungle be as carry as that third slot. But really, for you guys, I mean, even when I'm watching Cherio playing Kali, he's still playing for like the setup and making sure plays happen for like all other places. And it feels like, he plays more like a solo laner into the jungle, it feels like, a lot of the time than a regular traditional jungle. Like, he's not adapting, blinking in, trying to get like kills in the back line to make sure you can rush and press. And it feels like Nika's more playing up with the carries versus Cherio's playing more in line with Raffer. It's like a really cool thing to kind of watch you guys. I've been getting really into soccer or football. I'll say it. Since my guest here,
that's more like it.
I've been getting really into football and then watching like formations and everything. And like that's helped me. It's really kind of changed like how I view the game as a coach, because I'm like, all right, so you have a center attacking mid, right? Is he playing like a false nine? Is he playing as like an attacking? Is he defending? Kind of things like that. And I think like that kind of stuff is coming more and more to Smite, and I think you guys like are a really good example of that with like how you kind of break down with that. And I made my team sit down and watch. I'm gonna cut your guys' ego just a little bit. I didn't see you guys do anything amazing, fantastic at any one point in those games. You guys just like, you guys talk really well together and then just kind of do it. And it was like, I kept waiting for like a big play, something big to happen. And it was like, oh no, they just said that they were going to go do this thing. And then they walked over there as a team and did it. And then communicated that that guy was going to do something and didn't let him do it. And you guys just do that on a cooldown. How would you speak to your guys' like level of communication on this team versus teams you've been on in the past?
Ah, man, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I think it's more of like somebody makes a call and everybody else, clicks on is like either follows it or just leaves you. One play, for example, I could, speak for was when I was playing Cronus against Splice. Cyclone was playing Morrigan. I think that was game 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was game 2, and I was at the purple buff, and I said, I'm going to go in here. If I die, I die. Next thing you know, the whole team's here, and we wipe 3 people. And we're, it's kind of like, if I wanted to do something, I'm going to do it. And everybody else will try and follow. Or if Rafa wants to do something, everybody else will follow in line. And, it's more of everybody else trusts each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the main, that's like a, key point for a team. Trust everyone and believe in what they're going to do. I think that's a really big key point that a lot of teams, may have not got yet or are still working on.
But even with that being said, like we've seen you on teams in the past, and even, I mean, you and Lob forever, right? With those teams on that you were on previously, was there that lack of trust in some areas like that? Like, is this team kind of a jump in all of those aspects? It's like it's all of that trust, it's all of the teamwork, all kind of like dialed up. Is that, would you attribute it? Because I mean, you and Raph and these guys you guys were queuing games together before, even on a team. Is it kind of that like familiarity as friends, and then now living together and just bolstering it that way? Is that what's kind of led all of that to be ratcheted up?
Yeah, I think maybe on a team with Cherio as well in the past has definitely helped within synergy and stuff. I don't know, it kind of just all clicked at that one. And yeah, compared to last year and stuff like that, it definitely feels like there's a big dial. We went from I went from 6 to 9 or 10 at that one, and yeah, I don't know, everything just clicked. I don't really know what else to say about that. It was definitely, I don't know, it was definitely a different feel compared to what we usually would have. Like, obviously, scrims don't mean much outside of, because you get like a bunch of people trolling, especially in the team. You're like, you either get me trolling, Dardez, Cherry. Nika doesn't troll that much actually. He'll just F6 quietly. Or you get like Rafa trolling or some shit. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how else to put it outside of everyone just clicked, and we're all on the same page.
I like it. I think you guys have a really good future going forward. Obviously, you guys won MSI, so you guys are probably the head of the pack leading in coming there. Do you think, I don't know, there's been a few roster changes here. Baskin's no longer in the SPL. He went back to the SML. That's got to be a sigh of relief for everybody in the SPL. But, do you guys think that you can continue on with the momentum from MSI and make are you getting Raffer his 3rd ring?
I mean, I don't want him to get it, but I want one, so he's going to have to get one. So, yeah, it's going to... Nah, I mean, I don't care about the momentum. It's more of whatever happens in this split happens. But LAN turn it up again to dial 12 or some shit like that, and then just run it back. No losses, hopefully. Unless you get, Dardes trolling or something. I don't know. It's yeah, it's, I don't know.
right. Well, I think that's really all the questions I kind of had for you. Is there anything that you wanna say or talk about that I haven't touched on?
Are you recording?
We are recording right now, but I could turn this off real quick and we can discuss some other things.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's a really good vibe here. Everyone's really good friends, and in game and out of game, I don't think there's any bad blood anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
except for when Raph trolls me in casual games, and has a bit of a tilt sesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you need that though. You need to vent the tilt, right? So you go into like your actual games, like, all right, we're ready.
The only way to get rid of that tilt is smack a cockroach in the face. Fuck cockroaches, man.
Yeah.
Pieces of,
You got to deal with. I guess Atlanta, so you
deal with that. We've only had two.
And they're massive though. That's
people
don't realize it. I used to when I was living in Atlanta, I had some stuff like that. But when I was living in Florida, these things would be like that big. It was ridiculous.
Nah, man, don't fuck with cockroaches, man. Stay away. Those guys are indestructible, man.
Cockroach Guardian win. All right. Like, is there like a brother, like an evil Capri? Just evil Capri cockroach.
Yeah, there might be. There might be somewhere. I don't know. Might be waiting to invade or some shit. I don't know.
All right, Funball. Thanks for coming on the show. Best of luck in the upcoming split and everything. I know a lot of people will be watching you guys as I mean, you guys kind of like the fan favorites who are actually successful. So it's got to feel good. It's like because I mean, like, how long you been in the league? You've been like, so you're like a day one guy, right? Like, you've been here. You're
pre-season.
Yeah, so you're an OG ADC. How does it feel to be like, out of all the OG ADCs, you're the best right now? How's that feel? It's got to feel like there's got that little like, yeah. I mean, because Barra's still here, Zap's still here, Nate's kicking around. Like, you've got all those like OG guys, and you're just like, yeah, I'm the best one right now. I'm here. Is there any individual swagger like that?
I mean, there was until Cherry kicked me down a bit. So, Egyptians, man, you can't get away with anything with them.
It's just no ego here. There's no ego allowed.
A bit of ego, yeah.
Is there?
That just comes with playing.
Yeah,
professional.
Well, I mean, in that squad in particular, I feel like the only one that the only ones without egos really are Nika and Cherio, was what I would feel like. I don't know enough about Nika. The last time I talked about Nika, he was on a team with Get Fisher. That's like, I don't know how Nika's evolved since then.
I actually think it would be Cherry Rafa.
Really?
Yeah, Rafa doesn't have much.
But Rafa's like the perfect, like, he plays it up so well to the public though. Like he
just likes starting. He just likes starting shit on Twitter.
He's the perfect 80s movie villain. He's the bad guy from Karate Kid. Like,
he's the bad guy, and then he's the bad guy that turns good later on.
Yeah,
that's what he is.
Yeah,
double agent. Nah, he doesn't have much of an ego. Nika doesn't. Dades is French, so he'll surrender anytime. Yeah.
All right, I think we got to cut it there. Like, there's some legal reasons why we can't go on with this interview. But thanks for coming on. Good luck moving forward, and really excited to see what you guys kind of break out in this next season. I know I particular will be watching your guys' gameplay. So
you might see me play something interesting.
Ooh, interesting. All right, we'll kick it back to the regular show, or this will be the end. I'm not